What's up, everybody? Pat Flynn here, and I'm so excited because I know I've shown bits and pieces of my home office before in different videos and pictures, and a lot of you have been asking, Pat, when is that tour video of that home office of yours going to come out? Well, this is exactly what this video is. So I'm going to show you and take you around different parts of the room and show you the different parts of it, and they're very specific to different things that I do. And whether you work from home or a coffee shop, wherever you work, you're going to get a few things out of this. First, you're just going to see the different kinds of work that I do and why it's important to have a specific environment where you do those certain things so you can get in that right mindset. But also, hopefully, it'll give you some inspiration for something to work for too, because this was definitely not how it was in the beginning. You know, it took a number of years and a lot of hard work to get to this level. You know, I'm not about, dream cars and dream, vacations and things like that. I'm about the dream office, because this is where I produce a lot of what I produce for you guys. And so after the bumper, you're gonna actually see some old footage of my very first office when I started my own online business. So stay tuned, check it out, and thanks again for watching SPI TV. And I remember my very first office in a one-bedroom apartment with my wife, and we just gotten married, and it was just a little dinky corner in the kitchen space, and there was hardly any room at all. But I made it work, and I remember shooting this video back in 2008, and it was pretty crazy, or I think it was 2009 maybe. But just to show that you don't necessarily need an incredibly big and spacious office. You just need a place to do your work. And so whenever you get into that work mode mindset, you sit down or you stand up or whatever it is that you do when you work, and that's your location to do that. And that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned in terms of having an actual space is that when you go in there, you can check in mentally to do that work that you need to do. But then when you leave that space, you can check out mentally, which is really important as well. And it worked really well in this little tiny space. From there, then we rented a house, and I had my own office for the first time, and that was really nice, having my own door that I can close, especially when we had a kid and the kid was making all this noise or wanted to come in the room all the time. But then now we are in this office that I was able to build from scratch, and I knew that this was going to be a place that I wanted to invest a lot of money in. But I want to kind of walk you around just the different parts of what you see. A lot of people have been asking, well, what's this, or how's this work? And I put a lot of thought and care into this, and it was really cool because I got to kind of tap into my architecture past to help make this happen. I did create some design drawings, and then I shared those with the interior designer that I hired, and then she shared it with people who were going to construct it. And here we are, and of course, thanks to the Hero Cam, we're able to see more of the space, which is why I have it on right now. So let me close the door real quick. And there we go. So this is the space. And I'll walk you through all the different parts of it. It was definitely built from scratch. And it's my dream office. I have it very, very specifically laid out for all the different tasks that I do. I'm going to share those things with you. Each various space has a very specific reason and for being there. So I'm going to show you exactly what each space is all about right now. So the first thing you'll probably see is this thing in the middle here, this very large stand-up desk. And this is one of my favorite spots because standing up while working has been one of the best things for me in terms of just staying focused and being able to just get off my butt a little bit, because it's nice to stand up. It's good for your back. And so, if I have to sit down, I can pull out one of these stools. These stools are strategically placed under there so they don't take up much of the room. This room isn't really that big. I would say maybe it's 14 feet by 16 feet maybe, but it is definitely utilized in a way that it maximizes the productivity and the uses of each of the spaces. As you could see, there isn't much wall space left, but it's not just a bunch of shelves either. It's a bunch of strategically placed items. So this stand-up desk is really cool, and I love it because this surface, which you can see throughout the rest of the office as well, is writable. So I can actually go into my drawer here and pull out one of these markers, and I can write on the surface if I wanted to, and erase with one of these chamois later on. You might recognize these Post-it notes from my previous episode of SPI TV, episode 1, where I walk you through my book writing process. And all this is laid out here, not only because I write here, but behind me, I write on this, it's not really a whiteboard, it's a glass board. This is a frosted glass board, and maybe you can hear it, and maybe you could see me there in the reflection a little bit. But essentially what this is my whiteboard, and I like it because it's a little more stylish. The sort of regular dry erase whiteboards don't really do justice to some spaces, and I wanted to make sure that this just looked really good and fit in the space nicely. It connects pretty interestingly in the back here using these little pegs that hold the glass together, which is really cool. Now you might see here on the ground the infamous "Hello, my name is Pat" backpack, which some of you all have seen at conferences before, and I always wear this when I'm at conferences. You also see something like that on my website at smartpassiveincome.com as well. Now, I'll get into some of the other important parts of the space right now. This is the planning area. As you can see, there's no computers here or anything. This is essentially where I sit down to do a lot of planning, scheduling, and things like that. And you can see here this giant calendar, which is essentially the whole year laid out. Now, I do have a lot of the end of the year here open for various projects, but I do have a lot of the beginning, Q1, Q2, and Q3 filled out quite a bit. Some other interesting parts here, there's my diploma from Cal, and let's see, College of Environmental Design. That was where the architecture program was, which is really cool. This is a foam roller. I sit on the floor here every once in a while and do some foam rolling to kind of wake myself up a little bit if I'm feeling a little tired. It's good for the muscles and tissue as well. Books that you might recognize from some posts that I've written before. Other books. Fun little tidbit, my interior designer who I hired to help create the space said that books look really good when you take the covers off. And if you're trying to design a nice, elegant space, you can take the cover off. And this is actually the 4-Hour Body, which you might recognize as a green and chartreuse book. But take the cover off, and it's a nice looking blue book right there for you. There's me at the platform conference. And you might recognize this from the last video as well. I got a lot of comments on it. This is a hoverboard, actually. So let me take this out really quick. This is a hoverboard from Back to the Future 2. And it's not a real hoverboard, but it does look like it. And this was purchased on Etsy.com. It's real cool, and I'm a huge Back to the Future fan, if you couldn't tell already, from the hoverboard and the Back to the Future Lego set there. And this is really cool. An artist sent me this who is a fan of SPI. And if you look closely, I think I can get in here, you might be able to see some of the threading. This is thread and yarn that is made on beeswax to put that together. A fan sent me that, and it's so awesome. So it says Pat to the Flynn SPI, which is super cool. And so this is my planning space, and I sit down here when I'm doing a lot of sort of planning for the year, essentially. Don't use the space very often. It's more decorative than anything right now, to be honest. Here in the center console, you might notice this large TV, and this is really cool. I love this because what I do sometimes is I can pull out this keyboard. See if I can do this for you live right now. So this is a cool keyboard because it's Bluetooth. This is a Logitech keyboard. I can turn on the television for you. Hopefully that turns on. And at the same time, I can press F2 to toggle that device, press enter, and maybe you will see Apple TV there. So Apple TV is right there, which is pretty cool. Let me see if I can pull up something for you. I think there's a YouTube channel, right? Maybe I can pull up Smart Passive Income, or SPI TV actually. So let's search, and let's do SPI TV. Let's see if anything comes up. In the meantime, I got some really cool things to share with you here on this side, which is actually where I spend most of my time. You'll notice these two screens, which are just where I do a lot of my writing and things like that. This is my main screen here. This is a secondary screen. This is an older iMac, 27-inch. This is one of the newer Retina display 27-inch iMacs. I love it. It's where I do my writing and stuff. Although I do a lot of my writing up here on this, and if you look under here, you'll actually see some stools. So oftentimes I'll pull one of these out, set up my laptop up here, and I can work. I can actually use Apple TV and AirPlay to show what is on my laptop on this screen as well. Now, speaking of screen, this came up, and one of the things I love to do on this screen as well is pull up my keynote presentations so I can practice my keynote presentations. And let's see if I can get episode 1 up here running for you.
What's up, everybody? Pat Flynn here, and welcome to episode 1 of SPI TV. I could not be more excited.
So that's pretty cool. So one of the things I like to do is not only keynote presentations, and I'll often walk here while practicing my presentations while looking at my slides up here. I'll oftentimes just watch YouTube videos and coursework here and just sit at this stool, and I'll just sit here and learn and take notes and things like that. So it's almost like I'm watching a lecture, which is really cool. I find that I learn better sitting in this space up here than sort of right there on the computer where I potentially can be distracted and things like that. So what I have to do is go on this computer, set up a course or play a YouTube video from there, or even just straight off of Apple TV, and then I can stay focused and not get distracted and take notes as I need to. So I'm going to put this stuff back. And just another fun little fact here, this little outlet here was probably the biggest problem of the whole entire office. I mean, there were a lot of things that took time, but this little bugger right here took a lot of time and effort because it was installed later. I decided that I needed a outlet, and it comes with a couple of USB ports too as well. So we had to go inside, cut holes, put electrical things all in the guts of this table. They all run underneath here and through the wall. So that took a lot of time. Anyway, let's go to this space here. This is, again, the corner that I spend most of my time at. And you'll notice the Heil PR40. For those of you who are podcasters, you might recognize this microphone. This is the one of the top podcasting mics, although you don't necessarily need this top podcasting mic to sound like a top podcaster. The ATR 2100 by Audio-Technica is great as well. There's my Smart Passive Income mic flag, which is really cool. You can go to impactpbs.com to get your own mic flag just like that. And the arm is really cool because it connects right into the desk right there. There's a hole in the desk. The actual device that comes with this arm typically falls apart, or the part that's supposed to keep it from sticking or from moving around falls off. So I just said, hey, let's drill a hole in the counter and let's stick it there. And it works really well. So typically when I'm podcasting, I actually have this up here and swing it around like that. So then I can talk right here while looking at the screen. And I like podcasting standing up. I feel like I have fuller volume. I am just more alert and more focused. And oftentimes I'll be doing Skype interviews in the same fashion as well. So some other cool parts about this space in tidbits. This is a shelving area that was put up here. And originally it was just stacked full of books. The whole thing was books. The books were moved to the library in the other room, but my interior designer came in because she loved the space so much that she wanted to take pictures for her portfolio. So she got a lot of these little books and little boxes and coral and vases and bottles from her house, and she brought them here. And I liked the way she set it up so much that I just sort of half jokingly say, hey, I'd love to buy that stuff off of you because it looks great there. And she said, okay. So I bought all those things, and they stayed there, and I sort of adorned them with some of my camera stuff and other things that were important to me. You can see the trumpet up there. I played trumpet in marching band in high school and college. A bear because I graduated from UC Berkeley. And of course, I got the DeLorean with working gull wings, and it can actually convert to a flying machine as well, which is really cool, from Back to the Future 2. This is a baseball signed by Nolan Ryan, my favorite baseball player, which is super cool. Thank you, Azul, for hooking that up for me. This is a lightsaber. If you've been following me on Instagram, you might have seen my Halloween costume. I was Darth Vader for Halloween, so if you push up on this button, yeah, except, this segment, for some reason, does not turn on, so it's already broken. So I usually don't turn it on for people because of that reason. But you're in my office. This is an insider look of Pat's office, so you get the full deal here. Let's see. Let's go to this space. I love this space too. There are a lot of cool things that happen in this space. I'll talk more about the fabric and the acoustics in this room too, because that was a huge problem. But this is really cool. It's one of my favorite parts of the room, and that's a image of me at New Media Expo last year, 2014, presenting about how to convert your casual audience into raving fans. And the cool thing about this piece of fabric is that it's not just a canvas. It's a piece of acoustical fabric. It was specially printed custom on this fabric, and it absorbs sound in this room, so there's less echo. You'll also see these Edison lights, which are really cool on either side. This is sort of a banquette area, so what's my interior designer called it. And it's sort of my thinking area. I sit here and read sometimes. It's just a very relaxing area, seating, but also smart with some storage underneath as well, and things like that. Now this is one of my all-time favorite parts of my room. This is, behind all these cards, is a 5-foot board that is similar to that one, not printed on, but an acoustical panel to, again, absorb sound. But on this, I've pinned all my thank you notes and letters from fans of Smart Passive Income and people who I've helped with their business. And this isn't all of them, not by far, but when I'm down and when I'm out and when I'm lacking motivation, I'll oftentimes just turn around and look at this board and just man, this thing just always gets me fired. And, some people have sent me their first dollars, or, this person sent me $5 that they've made online, their first $5 because they promised that's what they would do. I mean, it's just so cool. I mean, I got videos, I got magic cards because somebody knows I like Magic the Gathering. I mean, this is one of my all-time favorite spots of the room, and that's why it's right there next to my, I guess you can call it my, well, not my phone. My phone's right there. My meditation chair. So I do a lot of things on this chair, and I'll share, another angle of me sort of utilizing this space. But this is where I'll meditate using what you see here, and also journal. This is the 5-minute journal. You can check it out at 5minutejournal.com. And this really cool table also cuts away to have some magazines here as well. So I have some, iBlog magazines. I'm an advisor for them. Ink magazine, Jessica Alba, super cool. Okay, going back to the space, what else can I tell you about this space? This is really cool. This is a USB charger here. This upper left one, for some reason, they tell me that it charges 2 or 3 times faster than these other ones. So I always plug it in there. I don't know if that's true, but I plug it in here anyways when I'm charging my phone or iPad or whatever. And I use that actually quite often. I have a lot of storage space in here as well. And what's cool is the drawers sort of close nice and quickly. Now, one thing you'll notice about this room is that the wires are virtually hidden. And that's one thing that was important to me because I didn't want to get distracted, and I don't like seeing wires everywhere. So all of that is in the walls or inside the cabinets. And you'll see that when I open this cabinet, this is where all the internet stuff is. And when you go in here, it looks pretty messy. But I got my router, my internet, and all that stuff. My printer and stuff, if I move this over. This is where my printer, and I have another USB cord here. My sound mixer, because I don't need to touch it very often. This is a scanner, which should have been closed. Need to save as much power as we can, of course. And my printer's up there, so I just easily wirelessly print something, and it prints on this HP printer here. This is and you probably can't see it because it's all dark, but it's a HP LaserJet P1102W. It's the thinnest printer that I've seen, so it fits in that space really nicely. And then some paper there as well. Now you'll notice these red boards here. These are actually padded. This is more acoustical paneling on either side of the television here, so it frames it quite nicely. The windows are Roman shades, which also absorb sound too. And I like this little white border that my interior designer insisted be placed there, and I'm really glad she said to do that because they look really good. Now, if you look up, you'll notice these track lights. These are also really cool, something I've never had in a home before, but they do add some modern elements to the space, and they also point in different directions to highlight certain things. You'll notice up on the top some more books and some memorabilia, stuff from my college years, and of course more Back to the Future items. And yeah, so let me cut to the video of me using this space because this is really important. I use this space every single morning when I wake up, and so I'm going to show you some video on exactly what I do here, and then we'll wrap up. This is my favorite chair in the room. This is actually an Ikea chair that was just reupholstered for like a couple $100. And next to it, there's a little coffee table. And I love this space because I do a lot of my thinking and reflection in this space. And I use the space mainly in the morning. In my morning routine, I come down, I get a glass of water, I get the water boiling so that when I come back out of this office, I can then have my bulletproof coffee. But typically what I do when I sit down here is I journal. Journaling is the first thing I do. Thank you, Caleb, for the journal. This is the 5-minute journal. I've been writing in this every day for the last, at this point, 30 days, and it's just been life-changing to be able to write down sort of why you wake up during the day and what you appreciate and what you hope to strive for, and then at night before you go to bed, you talk about the things you accomplished, and then you write down what you wish you could have done better, and that's really cool. I also use this table to meditate and to help me meditate because I've always had issues with meditating, but this is a spot where I do it. And again, I have certain spots where I do certain things. I could meditate here or there, but I have it here just so I'm in that routine and I know that this is a spot and I can check in mentally to that state of mind. To help me meditate, I use this device. You've probably seen me talk about this before on the blog. If you go to choosemuse, muse.com, you'll see what this device is all about. It's a brain sensing headband. So you put it on sort of like this. And what I do is I typically sit down, and I'm going to sit down in this chair and show you what I do for 7 to 12 minutes every morning. I look like this. Yeah, that's basically it. But I'm listening, and I don't have my headphones on right now, but Actually, what's happening is with this, it senses your brain activity. And when you have an active brain, you hear crashing waves and loud wind. And when you have a calm brain, you hear hardly any wind at all, maybe little trickles of water. And if you are calm for a certain period of time, you also hear maybe some birds chirping in the distance. It's really, really cool. It's helping me sort of validate if I'm doing it correctly, because that was the biggest issue for me with meditation. I didn't know if I was doing it right. This tells me if I'm doing it right, which is really cool. So I love sitting in here. I also read in here as well, and this is sort of, again, my improvement area in the room. I get my work done over there, but this is where I sit down, I relax, I journal, I meditate, I read, and I love it. And I can also be right next to what matters most to me besides my family. It's just you guys. So I showed you all these different spaces in my room: space for getting stuff done, planning, and then my meditation, sort of self-improvement area. And I know a lot of you might not have a home office, and even if you do, it might not be quite as intricate and planned out as this one. Maybe you get most of your work done at a coffee shop. I mean, it's up to you. You have to figure out what works best for you, and I'd like to see where you work as well. Where do you get your work done? Where do you do your planning? Where do you do your meditation stuff? Maybe it's all in the same spot. I'd love to see it. So if you go to watchspi.tv and find episode 2 of SPI TV, you can actually leave a comment and leave a picture of your workspace too. I'd love to see what you have going on and where you do most of your work. Thank you again for coming and visiting me at my home in my home office today. I really appreciate you taking the time, and again, for all the requests to view it. I wasn't originally going to share it, but this is pretty cool. It's been really fun. Thank you. And make sure to go to watchspi.tv to subscribe to the show. More videos coming every Friday, and you can view the archive there as well. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing your workspace on the blog as well. Cheers.